I do have a few other ways that you could go about writing essential questions. We're going to just talk about this one, though I did have an activity, and I'll share the activity with you in case you did want to take it back to your building. One thing is, especially with math and science, is misconceptions, and really looking at what are the common misconceptions that students have, and then think about writing questions that are aimed directly towards those misconceptions so that students confront them in your classrooms. I'm sure that if you've been teaching a subject for a content area for about 5 years, you know what the students stumble on repeatedly and where things seem to go wrong with light, then that would be a way that you could write questions. So the green paper is just a sampling of misconceptions, and if you were doing this, it'd be very similar, is that take those misconceptions and then think about what questions that you could write based off of common student misconceptions. And just so you know where I found these, is I went online and I Googled elementary science misconceptions. So if you're ever looking for things that students are stumbling on, there are tons of resources online that can help you look to see what is happening. In fact, there's a group that's called AAAS. They did research. They have tested thousands and thousands of students to see what questions they have misconceptions about. So there are some research-based, banks of misconceptions online. So the next activity we are going to do is just as though there are the levels of the scope of what you're writing about. So if you're writing a question for how much time you expect the students to really be engaged in it, there's also the level of the thought behind the question. So with Wiggins, they also had, in Understanding by Design, they had the facets of understanding. And in the facets of understanding, there's different levels. And in your book on page 35, there's a really nice chart that goes through what each of those levels means. It's almost very comparable to the depths of knowledge, to the Bloom's taxonomy. And it talks about what the students will be doing. And then there's also some sample starter questions. So the sentence stems that you could drop some content or an idea into. What we're going to do is I have, or you have them on your tables, this is the blue set of paper. And there are different questions that you might ask students in your classroom. And then the white piece of paper is a grid with the different levels of questions, or the facets of understanding. And we're going to give you some time to sort them out and put the question where you think it lines up with the facet. So take the blue, use your chart on page 35, and think about where that question might fit in the facets of understanding. What questions do you have?